Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning, khush aamdeed. Ji aaya nu, goeiemorgen.
Pakhair agale, ni hao, chune shubme, washmale, ohio gozaimasu, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, suaviam, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning, alongside the very fantastic, the very full of energy, Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely great. Thank you so much for asking. Just a little bit, I want to say, sort of off the track because of, we were missing out on work for more than 2 weeks. So, well, I really hope this one goes well. What about you? How have been you feeling?
Inshallah, I think that the feelings are very mutual as well, and it's because of the fact that yesterday when we started going live back again as well, and for the record, ladies and gentlemen, that for all of the shows that you were witnessing in the previous weeks, we recorded them in advance too as well. But other than that, I think that, yesterday when I was in the studios, when I got to the studio, I was going through this process of thinking and talking to my own self, and I was like, so when I'm going to be live and after so long, after almost 21 days, I think I'll be a little rusty. And yes, you can see that too as well. But then at times, alhamdulillah, Allah is always there to help you as well. So, and He's the only one we seek help from as well, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that we always make a prayer before getting started with the show as well, and we want everything to go smooth. But not just that, we want everybody's health to be smooth as well. We want everybody to be healthy and wealthy out there as well. And in these testing times, it's getting a little difficult to control and to have that patience that, okay, soon it will all be over.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually want to take this moment, Shahzad, because of course yesterday when you came back, I wanted to welcome you with so many things I had planned for. Of course, I'm so sorry I was not here. But for all of the people watching, did you tell them about your journey as well?
Yes, I did.
So here's the thing, when Shahzad did discover about, developing or contracting COVID-19 as well, it was shocking for him as much as it was, of course, for the entire team as well. But honestly, not that he's sitting right next to me, but I have not seen someone face this adversity with such positivity as well.
Exactly.
And Shahzad, your take on all of this situation actually made me feel, or I want to say made me a firm believer of the fact that willpower actually does wonders and miracles as well.
Exactly.
I mean, if I were to think of someone else who had, let's say, the pattern of a health that you have, and then to contract this, and mashallah, all the business that you have going on as well, I don't think people can make it through that as well. So you are an example for a lot of people who are going through this hard time as well. A lot of families right now, even Shahzad, because the number keeps increasing every day as well, they look up to you and they take you as an example as well. Thank you so much for being that for everyone.
And I just want to thank Allah Almighty as well, because it's all because of the fact that Allah was willing to bestow His blessings upon me as well, which is why we're still here as well. And for all of those people who are actually coming back with the feedback that I'm looking a little weaker, yes, obviously, because the virus does consume a lot of energy out of your body as well, so you really need to be on track. Please make sure, for all of those people who are dieting, please forget about dieting these days as well. All you have to do in 2020 is survive with a healthy mindset. I'm not just saying that you have to survive. You have to survive with a healthy mindset, and it's very important. And I think that when we talk about surviving with healthy mindset, it comes with a lot of help from others. And ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, I think that this is about, today is actually the day when we actually need to recognize the efforts of the public servants.
Absolutely. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, today happens to be the International Day for recognizing, like you said, the efforts of public servants as well. Today, in 2002 was actually a UNGA, the General Assembly of the United Nations, officiated this day, and they passed the resolution to observe this day as mentioned, International Day for Public Servants. But, it's actually a bracket term, I want to say. It's sort of an umbrella term. When you talk about public servants, there's a long list who comes under that as well. I just want to mention one thing over here because, of course, like I say always, we learn a lot on this show as well. So right before we were discussing what we're going to talk about today, I always thought when we talk about public servants, it's literally the people working for the government. Shahzad, when we always say government officer, that's what I meant. But I was wrong. And this is why we're here to correct myself and you as well. We do actually have a small video by the United Nations as well to discuss what this day is about and all the people who we are celebrating and encouraging and recognizing today. Let's take a look at it and then come back to discuss further.
Let's do this. Good morning. right, ladies and gentlemen, so today we are over here at World This Morning are actually observing United Nations Public Service Day as well, where we actually want to say thank you to all of those people who happen to be public servants, and especially in these testing times when we have COVID-19, which has actually affected more than 180 countries. I think it is our responsibility to appreciate all of those people who are public servants, and not just that. I think that we really need to speak about the theme as well. Do you want to give it away, or do you want me to do this?
Do you want to go ahead with it? Okay, just to sort of, present the gist of it. So, Shahzad, how SDGs are revised after every, a certain period of time as well. And when we talk about realizing the SDGs for 2030, people realized at the United Nations, and of course, the governments of all the countries who are the members of the UN as well, that public servants actually play a massive role in sort of achieving the SDGs as well. Because, of course, while they are working for the country, for the government, the people of the country as well, they are the ones who can work as well as manipulate others to work for the betterment of the country as well. So, well, the theme for this year is along those lines as well. Aligning sort of, I want to say, all the efforts of the public servants with the SDGs. And particularly for 2020, I think this has to go along with the pandemic as well, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, the 16th SDG, which talks about the health and the pandemics as well.
Well, you're not rusty at all, even after 3 weeks' time as well, and you've done a phenomenal job in making people understand what we're talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, along these lines, we obviously have to, kind of innovate and have newer resources in public administration as well, so that more and more people join hands as well, so that we are able to achieve the SDGs, which I don't know where we stand right now, but we'll actually have to check upon that. But today, we're very lucky that we've got a very apt guest who's actually going to speak about it, and how do we actually promote or inculcate the talent or probably the services of all of these people, so that they actually kind of motivate all of those other people to be public servants. And not just that, I think that there's one brilliant point which is brought to the table early in the morning when we were talking about the program, and that was that now public administration is actually a subject, and it's been taught in universities as well. So I think for all of those people who really want to do something, create a difference, this is your time to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one thing I want to add, just a lot of people have been, mashallah, passing recently last week the CSS exam. A lot of my, colleagues, I want to say, students from my batch who were students of public administration got in the first 10 and first 20 merit positions as well. And I was so proud of them, mashallah, mashallah. But very quickly on to our guest over here, Shahzad, mind you.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, he actually happens to be the former information officer at the United Nations as well. He's none other than Mr. Muhammad Abdul Wahab Sahab. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Sir, thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And, this is something which I even said to my guests yesterday as well, who were on the show, because, we are actually starting our live shows after 3 weeks period as well. Thank you very much for, taking that risk so that you can make sure that, there are more people who are aware about public servants as well, and what their duties are, and how we can actually have innovation amongst public administrators as well. So, sir, first of all, what I need to ask is, how important do you think this day is? Because I haven't really seen a day, or I haven't really seen that occasion where people come together to appreciate the work done by the public servants.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, when we talk about it was officiated in 2002, isn't it too late?
Well, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Shahzad, first of all, I would like to congratulate you. I must really, appreciate you and the entire team. It has been an act of great bravery. You remained in quarantine. You see, you got afflicted with COVID-19. You fought against it with the prayers of everyone. What you call, your WhatsApp family supporting group. With the blessings of Allah. And thanks God, and you are back. You're also back.
Thank you so much, sir.
So first of all, I must say that you have done a great job. First, continuing during this pandemic, and then remaining in quarantine and getting recovered, coming back, having that courage and zeal to be back. Well, about this day, UN observes almost in total 168 days annually. And this is one.
It's so interesting.
And this is one of those days, United Nations Public Service Day. Basically, it was adopted on 20th December 2002, and General Assembly adopted this resolution to be this day was supposed to be commemorated on 23rd of June.
Okay.
Well, public service is the backbone of almost every country.
True.
In modern era, there has been concept that private sector has to complement the efforts private sector has to come forward. It has to work hand in hand. But let me tell you very frankly, when it comes to planning, when it comes to providing guidelines, when it comes to providing finance,
Yep.
the main thrust lies on public service, on public servants, on government.
Yeah.
You see?
Right.
So public service, of course, I mean, as you said, you know, developing countries like Pakistan, in spite of the fact that we have got immense and sort of massive private sector, we have got charity organizations, we have got philanthropists, we have got aid workers, but in every developing society, government has to take leading role.
Yep.
If it doesn't take leading role, if it doesn't organize, if it doesn't plan for next 50 years, what happens? All those efforts by the private sectors, they cannot be really harmonized and they cannot be streamlined in the directions which they are supposed to.
Okay.
What happens one way or the other way, if, for example, we are talking about 5 most neglected sectors, so private sector devoid of that particular on-ground knowledge and future planning, they might invest in perhaps 3 areas out of 5.
Yeah.
And 2 areas they might get neglected. So it is where government enters. Now, when we come to public service, you know, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, when he announced his message for this year, he also said that while appreciating what public servants are doing throughout the world, we have to sort of think of the ways and means which practically appreciate these civil servants,
Yeah.
these public workers. We really have to give them a feeling what you are doing great, what you have been doing is great, but at the same time you have to continue with the same dedication. When it comes to developing countries, perhaps there is a feeling, you know, our public sector has not been able to deliver so far what was supposed to. This is the reason when you go around Pakistan, I mean, we can talk about other South Asian countries as well right now, but we are talking in perspective of Pakistan. When you go around, we have a feeling that perhaps public servants are failing in performing their role.
Right.
Now,
I think otherwise, though. And I will
Yes.
let you know
You-
why.
you have your
we can
own-
agree to
own
disagree,
opinions,
but
of
here's the
course.
thing, Hassan, I'm going to take you back to what you said just a moment ago.
Yeah.
When you talk about the public and the private sector, I understand that are they supposed to be always contradictory? Or when you talk about public servants, can private companies or private sector be a part of public service as well?
Yeah.
A very good question, you know, Shazam. Let me tell you. Well, I mean, these are complementing, you know, sort of organs, private and public. Let's start with doctors.
Yeah.
When we say frontline warriors,
Yes.
when we say COVID-19, as you know, I mean, UNSG has also sort of aligned theme of this year with you see COVID-19. So what is happening? Civil servants,
Yeah.
they have been performing roles.
Okay.
Doctors in government hospitals, they are doing great job.
Yep.
They have been rather during all this period. But coming to your question, can we really do not take into account? Can't we take into account all those doctors who are working in private sector?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can.
They have done equally great job. So
Exactly.
when we say public servants, it is basically public service.
Yeah.
When it is public service, everybody who is on the payroll of government and working for the public, and everybody who is on private payroll and working for the public
Is a public servant.
will be considered rather public servants, or
Okay.
it will be considered public service.
Perfect.
Exactly.
It
That
makes
that's
sense.
great. But you know, right now, before Shiza asked you this question, you actually said that this is the time that we really need to appreciate all of those people who've been a part of the public service as well.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a great initiative. And we have seen over the period of where, you know, ever since COVID came in, you know, we have seen that people have been out in their balconies clapping for all of those frontline warriors and whatnot. But over here, ladies and gentlemen, let us be very clear that, you know, when we talk about public servants, we even talk about sanitation workers as well. We even talk about all of those people who, you know, take out garbage from our homes as well,
Yeah.
because those are the people who have helped us in every way and every day as well. So, you know, when we talk about paying them rich tribute, United Nations actually holds an award ceremony for all of those public servants to recognize their efforts in the line of duty. How do you think we can do it as a nation for all of those people who are really working day in, day out for the betterment of the country, even in these testing times?
Very good.
Oh.
Sharad, let me tell you, we have to emerge as a nation.
Yeah. When are we going to do that?
Yeah,
I need
we
to
have
ask
to.
this. I need to ask this honestly.
Also, how? Like practically speaking,
Okay.
how?
Yeah. How? You see, the thing is, when we talk about UN has got it set up, UNDP, you know,
yeah.
they must be doing it today. But the thing is, as a conscious, as well-aware society, because let me tell you, we have got great potential. We are serving everywhere in the world, you know, I mean, we are recognized as one of the top 10 brains in the world. So, we should devise a strategy that every government sector, when we say government, perhaps at federal secretariat level, in provinces at provincial secretariat levels, at the same time, perhaps medical side should also organize at least symbolic ceremony.
Exactly.
Military men who are waging sort of, surveillance, and they are doing great. Police personnel, which are, performing great job, are bankers. They have exposed themselves to the danger of this pandemic throughout this period.
Yeah.
In spite of our planning, we closed down quite many branches, but the branches we have kept
The major ones
open.
were still open,
Yeah.
yeah.
All the rush has been there, and these bankers, let me tell you very frankly, at least 10 to 20% bankers got afflicted with this pandemic because of those crowds.
Exactly.
So unfortunate.
So we couldn't avoid. So coming back to your question, we have to prove that we have an alive nation. Perhaps even at university levels, where we are upbringing our future leaders, we have to give them a feeling.
Yeah.
Look, the role of public service cannot be denied in an emerging developing society if we do not recognize, if we do not sort of put pressure on public servants to organize the country, to plan for the benefit of the country.
Yep.
We get a lot of foreign loans. Those foreign loans should get implemented. Our schools should run throughout the
And
country.
should be utilized as well.
Yeah.
And yes, obviously, you know, we are talking about teachers, we are talking about armed officers as well, we are talking about, you know, police officers as well, we are talking about everybody over here. But now, let me come back to the point where, you know, this is something which has really had an impact on me. And, you know, when I was thinking whether we are a nation, you know, I wasn't really able to think of an answer. And it's because of the fact that you just said that we actually need to emerge as a nation.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about public service as well, so imagine a person who's actually got a pharmacy, but he's not willing to sell the injection on the same price which he was getting in these times as well, rather charging 600% more profit, or rather holding it back so that, you know, he can later on sell it in the black market as well. How do you think that we are going to emerge as a nation? Because otherwise, when I've seen, whatever trends I've seen in Europe is that people are actually helping. People are giving medicines for free. And, you know, for a country which was a philanthropic nation and was ranked amongst the top 5 nations which were philanthropic in nature as well, has come down to a point where pulse oximeters are not available, where the life-saving injections and antibiotics are not available.
Right.
And if you need to get them, you actually have to give a higher price. And not just that. Imagine that people have, even in these times, people have started to sell their own body parts. Imagine somebody's going to sell their own plasma to save somebody's life for once they have recovered from the same disease. How do you think that we're going to emerge as a nation? That's the question.
That's a very good question, Shahzad. You have really touched a very touchy area. The thing is, I would say again, government always have a leading role. The issue is, our governments, even if they have means, perhaps they cannot concentrate or focus in the right direction at the right time.
Exactly.
Perhaps they need to have those advisors, those technically equipped people who remain alive 24 hours, and those who really keep knowledge of the average person, average market,
Yes.
and they advise. I 100% agree what you said. Basically, what should have happened, government was supposed to regulate imports and supply of all medical stuff to pharmacies, to charitable organizations, where from these things had to be supplied to hospitals. But what happened? Aid came from China. We got it from other countries, but we never saw where that went,
Yeah.
where that was distributed. NDMA should have been that crystal clear, that transparent, to let us know area-wise
Where all of those
where were
things
they
were,
distributed.
yeah.
Why are doctors were not given PPEs? In many government hospitals, doctors have been buying their own masks, their own PPEs.
Exactly.
We have really left them to, we have exposed them to dangers. Quite many doctors have got positive just because of
Exactly.
lack of PPEs, even
Right.
masks. You see?
Absolutely.
That's very true, sir. But building up on that, since we only left for 4-5 minutes as
Right.
well, what I need to ask over here is, since you've mentioned about PPs and everything else as well, but what I think is that I think that this year's theme for the United Nations, Public Service Day is to have innovation within this sector.
Exactly.
Imagine that now, obviously, we are living in a time where we can order everything online as well, and a public servant will actually come and deliver it. Let's talk about the polio workers as well. I think that that's very important to highlight.
Yeah.
How do you think that we're going to bring about innovation when, for the very first time this year around, or probably the previous year, the universities have started educating people about public administration? How much work do you think we need to actually put in more and more so that we emerge as a nation finally?
Absolutely correct. Thanks for mentioning polio workers. Polio workers really have been on the front line. So I would really say polio workers, sanitary workers, doctors, policemen, military men, bankers, etc., etc.
Thank you.
Especially the ones
Thank
who
you.
carry out the census,
Like
the
media men,
population
like
census.
Shahzad, Shiza. You see.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I mean, all people need to be appreciated.
Thank you.
That was the reason UN in 2003 announced UN Public Service Awards,
Yes.
which were realigned with SDGs up to 2016.
Exactly.
You see, because up to 2030 UN has to go for the achievement of those
Right.
SDGs.
Right.
Anyway, so basically what I have to say, well, we have already, seen how do we behave when emergencies fall on our heads,
Yeah.
We panic.
like pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
You see, so I'm sorry to say we miserably failed,
Yeah.
but at the same time we have hope. You see,
Yeah.
we have hope because quite many of us resisted. They emerged as victorians. One of them is he.
Oh.
You see, in spite of all
Allah
challenges, he
willing,
came
yeah.
up. So the thing is, in my personal opinion, we really have to make public service men accountable.
Yeah.
Unless we introduce sheer accountability, how that accountability is introduced. First, government has to do its job. Second, public. We are quite resilient people, but we are too timid, we are too shy, we do not know our democratic rights.
Yeah.
What happens? We never sort of make our political leaders accountable, we never make our civil servants accountable. Whenever a civil servant is failing, whenever a political leader is failing, you see, we have to make them accountable. We have to organize demos, we have to organize protests. If a hospital didn't receive PPEs or masks, you see, so perhaps along with doctors, the public of the area, which might be at least 200, 500,000, you see, we should come out, we should say, what the hell is this? I mean,
Right.
we are dying and you are, running away from even our masks, you see, which should have been supplied free of cost.
Absolutely.
Government is supposed to take into account what is happening in markets. I have personally bought, like this N95 mask in 1500.
Okay.
You see, when it was supposed to be maximum for 400 rupees.
And the mask you were wearing today, sir, let me be very honest over here. It used to cost us 5 or 10 rupees as well, but it's now for 50 rupees as well. So I think that the regulatory body needs to be there.
But
Exactly.
just
But-
one thing I want to reiterate over here, Abdul
Yeah.
Hafsab, you mentioned, and I think this is, I want to say, I want to take that as the key out of this conversation as well, that people or the general public have to realize their own rights.
Yeah.
I mean, what they deserve and what they can do as individuals in the society as well. Only then can you be able to call out if someone is wronging you from the public service, as well, or from the government as well. Thank you so much for being here, Abdul Wahab. So thank you so much for being a visionary as well, and always enlightening us.
My
and
pleasure.
I think it's
my
very
pleasure.
apt to always
It
have
was
you
an
here.
honor to be with both of you
Thank you
during
very much.
especially this pandemic period. So, I perhaps in future can take pride during COVID-19 period. I know I was one of the warriors.
I would
And you
say
were always
right,
ready,
yeah.
and you were always ready to render your services for your country, Pakistan, as well. And not just
Yeah.
that, ladies and gentlemen, there are times, and we have witnessed it, that quite a lot of times public servants are actually handcuffed, and they are handcuffed because of the fact that they're not provided with feasible facilities so that they can actually offer it to other people as well. Most of the times what we do is, or what we see is, that it's just a public servant right in front of you, but he's not actually equipped, or she's not actually equipped with the kind of services you require. So please do not take it out onto the public servant. There's a fault within the institution, and that's why that public servant is actually not able to help you. Because other than that, whatever I've seen in Pakistan is that every other Pakistani will be ready to help you with all their heart.
Absolutely, and just to better understand how actually things work as well, since this is, I want to say partial lockdown going on and quarantine going on as well.
Part
And you
lockdown.
guys, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So you guys have been watching a lot of stuff as well. Do try to watch Parks and Recreation. It's a season. It's a series of, people working for the government and
Okay.
developing parks as well. Amy Poehler stars in it. You're going to love it, and you're going to sort of understand what goes on in the public service as well.
Yeah.
On this note, we're heading out to a very short break. When we come back, we have something more exciting, and I want to say refreshing for your mind as well.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to find out what. Good morning.
Passion for polo will be the highest on the world's highest polo ground. Chandur invites visitors to experience a traditional polo tournament between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The tournament is held on Chandur Pass, the highest polo ground in the world, at 3,700 meters above sea level. The first time a polo tournament took place on the Chandur Pass was in 1936. It is a place unique and exotic in itself, surrounded by some of the most spectacular mountain scenery in the world. The event marks the annual rivalry between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The polo tournament has some added attractions for the visitors: trout fishing at the nearby streams and lakes, and a festival of folk dances and music of northern Pakistan. The event in itself offers a fascinating insight into the lifestyle of the people of this region. Their culture and indigenous customs are a delight to behold for the visitors. Crystal clear lakes, snow-covered mountains, alpine flowers, and vast stretches of green grass are added attractions. Fairs and festivals of Pakistan.
Welcome back to Well this morning, ladies and gentlemen, with the super energetic Shahzad Khan and Shiza Hashmi. And today on the show, we've been talking about how to celebrate this day, which happens to be the International Day for recognizing the efforts of public servants as well. Now, Shahzad, when I talk about public service, and in generic terms, in context with what is going on right now in the entire world as well, who are some of the people that come to your mind that may add as a public servants as well?
You know, I think even these days, for all of those people we mentioned earlier, I think that, for all of those people like psychologists as well, for all those people who are yoga experts or probably yoga instructors as well. And the sole reason why we were talking about this is, ladies and gentlemen, that during my self-isolation time while I was COVID-19 positive, a lot of people kept on asking me whether how are you looking after your health and fitness. So I was like, I'm having good food, but I'm not working out. But then at the same time, I think the amount of food you're taking in, it really needs to be digested well as well. And obviously exercise reduces anxiety and depression and all of those other things. So which is why today we have a public servant over here in the office with us as well in the studios. She, ladies and gentlemen, happens to be a holistic healer and a yoga instructor. She's none other than Ms. Aisha Khwaja. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam. So good to see you here.
Thank you very much, and it's likewise as well. Thank you very much. You look very fresh, mashallah.
Oh, thank you so much.
It looks like
made
as
my
if
day.
it looks like as if the number of clients have gone down and you are focusing on yourself more these days.
Is it?
Well, I must say that I'm quite stressed out because I have to do a lot of work at home without any maid.
Yeah.
But I do work out.
But how's work generally in these times as well? You know, when we know
it's
that
really
COVID.
down.
It's really down.
Yeah.
But which is why, you know, we've invited you over here so that you can actually give good tips to all of those millions of people out there. I hope that they are watching as well,
Yeah.
which is
But
wonderful.
Yeah, but
looking
before we get
forward
to the
it.
tips as well, Aisha, this was just, I think, 2 days ago. Everyone was observing International Yoga Day as well. So to talk about the importance of yoga, especially in COVID-19, because each and every single person right now is dealing with some sort of anxiety, right?
Yep.
When are we going to get out of it? First of all, how have you been dealing with it, being a yoga instructor yourself? And then what kind of, I want to say, knowledge or information have you been imparting to the people around you on how to deal with it?
Yeah.
Okay, as we know that during this time we have to build our immunity. It all comes to our immunity. So we have to eat right, sleep well, and move. This is so important because your immunity boosts when we move.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't panic. It drops your immunity level down.
Right.
So these are the things, and have a positive mindset, because when we panic, that's where we lose.
Exactly.
That's true.
So-
but Aisha, you know, I'm sorry, I think, but this is sort of a general term, and everyone says this, including myself, that don't panic. It's so easy to say it, but so hard to actually do it,
Do it,
right?
yeah.
So let the people know out there, sitting at the expense of, you know, their own couches, how can they not panic?
And you know, I will give you a small example as well, because when I was in self-isolation, you know, and there comes a time during the night when it gets to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, you know, probably I cannot breathe properly and whatnot. So what I've seen is that people actually inflict anxiety upon themselves by themselves. And you cannot help it because you're not trained to do so. So how do you think that we can start? Because even yesterday during the show, you know, we did some box breathing techniques, and they were very good as well, where 4 seconds you inhale, 4 seconds you exhale, and 4 seconds you just cap. So let's see, what do you have for us to share?
Okay, I was about to tell this thing.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all
We can
right.
repeat, because
Yeah.
I was not there yesterday, so go
Okay,
ahead.
That's great. So when we are talking about the stress, we have to be really hopeful. And hope reflects in all the actions, in all the actions, in all our ways.
Okay.
So I think hope is more kind of a verb, it's not a noun. So you have to be hopeful, and you have to show in your daily routine. And you have to be consistently moving, staying positive, and just think everything is going to be all right. I'm all well.
Exactly.
So you have to train yourself like that.
Yeah.
And then there are breathing exercises that really helps. And
And we are going to move on to those exercises very quickly, but there's one more thing, ladies and gentlemen, and the research says it. It's not me that I'm saying it. And if there's anybody who wants to know the source of it, I will be actually very happy to share it with you on our Facebook page or Twitter page as well. They say that for whatever you think, that particular thing starts vibrating. You know, there's this vibration to it as well. And the more you think about it, the more you are, you know,
Attracting it.
the more
Yeah.
you're attracting it as well. So, you know, God forbid if you're going to think bad. I mean, for all of those people who've been thinking about, hi, coronavirus. Yeah, I was doing it too as well. I got it. You know, so I think that there might be some truth behind it as well. So how do we keep ourselves on the right track? Because that's what is difficult. And you know, either you have to sleep and then wake up the next morning and forget about that thought. But while you're up, and if there's this one thought which is disturbing you, it's not going to get away.
so you have to meditate then.
Yeah.
And think positive, have a positive mindset. And while we are meditating, focus on being grateful.
All right.
So this is my tagline.
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yes.
You remember I said it last
Yeah.
time too.
Yeah.
So be excited, be inspired, and be grateful.
Yeah.
And always be
Shukran.
grateful, and just think it's going to be all right. Don't panic, and exercise, meditate, and that's it.
And God
eat,
forbid,
eat right.
And God
Eat-
forbid,
yeah.
if something is to happen, it will happen. You know, why do we actually have to think about all of those things which might happen?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that these are the two things which actually haunt a human being, and that is thinking about the future or living in the past.
And we become what we think.
Yes.
Oh, that's absolutely
Yeah.
true as well. And you know, when Shahzad, I think I want to take further when you said that whatever you're thinking about, you are attracting that, because what you seek is seeking
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And it does happen. I mean, it's the law of nature, it's the law of attraction, everyone knows about it. If even, you know, let's talk about students, everyone watching right now, a lot of students are watching right now as well. Shahzad, during our exams, when we think about, maybe I don't know this answer, I have no
Yeah.
idea how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And if it does appear in the exam, you will not know how to do it as well. So to control your mind on how to deal with things is the key over here. And Aisha, you said over here, meditation is the key. And you know, when we talk about yoga or meditation, that only means controlling the rhythm of your breaths and, you know, sort of synchronizing your mind with your breaths and your soul and everything, which is just beautiful. So if people were to learn that during quarantine as well, can they reach out to you? Are you giving online classes as well?
Right now, I'm not conducting any online classes, but I can share a few of the exercises right
Let's
here.
do this.
Let's do it.
And we're going to do it too as well. All right.
Yeah.
So, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, here's this morning's entire team, even our cameraman, even our
Yeah.
guest over here, and people in the MCR are going to do meditation. Join hands and let's do this. This is I think this is the best use of the public service day.
Yeah.
You know, this is our service to you. Let's do
So
this.
you have to sit nice and tall. Your back should be relaxed, but nice and tall.
Okay.
Keep your feet relaxed, face relaxed, and just feel happier. And now what you
always
have to do, keep your eyes closed,
Yeah.
and you have to inhale through your nose. So always, let me just make this point here,
Yeah.
that when I tell you take a breath, how do you breathe?
Just
A
inhale.
deep breath,
That's
right?
it. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's great. Most of the people, when we say take a deep breath, they say,
Okay.
but it's so wrong.
It should be nasal.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to inhale
I mean,
through
not
your
in-
nose.
Not during these days,
Diaphragmatic.
especially not during these days. You are not really supposed to open your mouth that wide open yet.
But if you are alone in your
Yeah, yeah,
room,
obviously.
You can
then
do that.
people do try these kind of things.
Yes.
But you have to inhale through your nose, exhale through your nose. So first of all, I'm going to, the number one exercise is what we call in yoga, water breath.
Yeah.
And as we say, water is always good for you at any time of the day or night. It benefits you.
Of course.
So what is the water breath? Now you have to just close your eyes, feet relaxed, mind relaxed, and inhale through your nose for the count of 4.
It's making me fall asleep.
God, same here.
So this is like, it brings balance in your life. If you are having high blood pressure, it will bring it down. If it's down, it will bring it up. So it's going to be balanced. That's why we call it water breath.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and 4 for the count of 4. Try again.
Okay.
Eyes closed and just relax. For the count of 4, inhale, exhale for the count of 4.
I should do wake us up in case we do fall asleep because it's so relaxing. I
I
tell
think
you.
I'm just.
Yeah, you
I
feel
was
good,
about
na?
to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next I want to tell you is called, I call it mint margarita
Oh.
breath.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so there is another name in yoga, but I won't
Okay, go ahead.
disclose it here. So what is mint margarita breath? This should be
It's the one which
practiced
smells
when we
nice.
want to sleep and we are agitated and we
Yeah.
need to relax.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
for
that's-
insomniacs maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So how do we do it? You inhale for the count of 4 and you exhale exactly double for the count of 8.
Oh,
So
all right.
please practice,
Okay.
try it. Close your eyes,
No, if
feet
I close
relaxed.
my eyes and if I have to take it to the 8th second, I think I'll be asleep.
No,
Yeah.
try to be a yogi, you know.
Hold it in for 8 seconds or just like keep letting it go for 8
Yeah.
seconds?
Keep
Okay.
letting it for 8 seconds.
Okay. It's so calming actually, and I just did it for once.
And that's how it brings your blood pressure down. It relaxes you. It relaxes your mind when you keep doing it, especially at night when you are agitated. Even while you are driving and you have this road rage or whatever, please don't go to sleep, but try it.
Yeah.
And then we have this third breath, and we call it coffee breath.
Coffee
Okay.
breath. all right.
And when we need coffee.
In the
when
morning?
in the morning, and when we want to feel energetic,
Yeah.
and we need that coffee.
Yeah.
So likewise, around when you wake up, you do it like for 20 breaths.
Okay.
And do it 3 times.
All right.
20 breaths, 3 times.
Okay.
Then in the mid like around 12, mid-afternoon, try the same breath, coffee breath,
Yeah.
and then around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock.
So what is coffee breath?
Okay.
Let's do that.
So
Coffee
how do
breath,
we
ladies
do
and
coffee breath?
Yeah.
For the coffee breath, you just have to focus on exhaling.
Okay.
So you are going to sit nice and tall, and this is more kind of a sneeze, and it has to come from your lower abs. So it's like,
Oh yeah. I used to do it in sauna.
20 exhales.
Okay. Okay.
Try.
Yeah, and it does
And
give
it
you
brings
energy.
your heart rate up,
Yeah.
just like coffee.
Adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Sort of a fight and flight response.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly,
perfect.
exactly.
Okay, and now I need to
And-
ask
and-
one more thing, and that is that I've even I have come across such situations as well, where in the middle of the night you wake up, and all of a sudden you think you're getting a heart attack, but it's nothing else, So you just wake up and you're like, okay, I'm normal, and you go back to sleep.
Yeah.
What do you think a person can do when they wake up in that situation?
I think they should pray and try the mint margarita breath. Tell yourself, okay, I'm good. It's all going to be
Just
good.
one last question before
Yeah.
we do wrap up the show as well. Aisha, a lot of people happen to, when they panic or when they have, anxiety attacks, whatnot, the neck muscles are,
Stiff.
I mean, yeah, they're stiff, and they actually add a lot to, when I say bad health and everything.
Yeah.
So if that happens at home, what should we do?
So
I mean, the
there
first
are,
aid to
we
ourselves.
have great exercises in yoga for that, and I think we can practice it right here.
Yeah, let's do
let's
it.
do it.
So this hand, I put it
Yeah.
there.
Under
This
your
hand
thighs?
goes here
Okay.
and here. And now very gently you are going to bring your ear to your shoulder. Very gently, be very gentle,
All right.
and have this nice, beautiful stretch in your neck.
Can anyone do that, or do
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
to be
yeah.
There's
flexible
all
for
this
that?
practice.
Yeah, it's doing good. I think so.
And you feel that
Just don't
stretch
bend
here.
too much, man. You don't want to
Yeah.
break your neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you do it the
Over
other
here.
side, switch your
Okay.
side, and you have to do it 15 times for 15 breaths,
Yeah.
both sides.
Okay, perfect.
And then there is another exercise, which
Yeah.
is I think it's a great stretch. So what we are going to do, I'm going to bring my chin or my nose into my armpit. This hand goes right here, so we have this side stretched out.
Yeah.
And here, and then I'm going to gently have the stretch, press it down.
This looks like a move from WWE. You can't see me.
You can see me.
Yeah.
That's what
So
I'm
you have to hold it for 15 breaths.
Wow, it's
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
It's
and
good,
then
both
you have
sides,
to do
yeah.
it, switch the side.
I think I
both
already
sides,
feel very energized.
and nose to your armpit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but what's the logic behind putting the hand underneath
So
the thigh?
have the stretched out.
All right, so that is
nice
stretched.
stretch here, and then do you feel that stretch here?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Over here.
Yeah.
That's nice, and that's brilliant. Thank you so much for letting us know that we can actually do a lot at the expense
Yeah.
of our sofa as well. And because in these testing time, ladies and gentlemen, unity is all that is required. And if we are not the people who are going to help each other, I don't know who else is going to, right? So
Exactly.
thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much again for
Yeah.
being a public servant, because you are, of course, sort of, dealing, or I want to say catering to the needs of the people who want to feel better, who want to heal themselves internally as well. So I really hope you guys learned a lot from today's show as well, like Shahzad and I did, and we always do too. And if there are any questions, queries, feedback, anything, do write to us on our Facebook page with the name of,
Well, this morning on your television screens, down below.
or Twitter,
Well, this morning without a G.
on YouTube,
Well, this morning,
and the repeat you can catch at
11 p.m. tonight. And the next time, 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Take care, stay home.
Bye.